How's it going? I can see so many people in the stream today. That is awesome. Hello, I see so many hellos. Well, I'm from Hangersfall. I was in Hangersfall. Uh, Hi there, Mickey. Hi there. I am good. Welcome back to the stream, Shamali. Hi, Nitesh. Hey, Mayank. I see so many returning hackers. That is awesome. Oh, namaste to you too, Sarasdev. Hello, Venkat. Hello. Thank you so much, Harshdeep. That is very sweet. Hi, Rahul. Hi, Harsh. Hi, Yash. And welcome back, Susmita. I'm so glad to see. Oh, is there so? What disturbance is there? I'm sure we can fix it. Is there some sort of noise? Hey, Gautam. Hey, Kunal. I'm so glad to see so many of you all here in the afternoon on a Tuesday. That is amazing. I am amazed always with, how you all are here to learn. I like how the greetings are getting more diverse. But yes, so first of all, welcome to the stream. I'm going to introduce myself a little bit later, and I trust me, I'm seeing all your hellos coming in. I know who you're here. All right. Today's going to be a fairly fun stream because I'm actually going to recreate some of my first tutorials that I learned from, and I'm pretty excited because I remember APIs and a little bit of front end development is a basic from any hacker, right? Because no matter how good your project is, if it does not have an interface that really tells the story, it's kind of useless. And APIs really help that, which is why I'm really excited for this entire week. And I see so many more chats coming in. Keep them coming. Trust me, I'm looking at all of them. Is there a question? If there's a question, I'll definitely be answering it. uh, Well, I'm excited to trust me because I actually went back and studied a little myself, and how you start as a hacker and you don't really, for example, you're in a time crunch, right? So let's say I want a front end, I want a back end, and I really want all of them connected. You don't have time to really dig into the facts, you dig into this history of things. So, preparing for the stream really gave me an opportunity to do that. Today, however, I'm going to keep it brief, and we will go over some facts. I'll cover some basics. I know you hackers are super smart and way ahead of the game. So if it's repetitive, let me know. We'll quickly, breeze through it, and we'll get started with the hands-on stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun, I promise you, because we're going to do three things today, right? Short and simple tasks. First, we will create a React app and get data from Rapid API. Second, we will actually see how we can create an API, and then we'll also deploy it to Rapid API. And we won't just deploy it. You hackers do such amazing stuff every weekend. You all can actually use this to create a side hustle. So once you deploy it on Rapid API and the API is actually giving some nice information, people can actually use it, right? So we'll do that, and that's it. So today we're going to be doing three things. It's short and simple. If any of it does not get over within the 2 hours, because we have back-to-back streams, we'll continue it in tomorrow's session bright and early at 9 a.m. All right. Yeah. Before we start, y'all, if y'all are returning streamers, y'all know we do the intuitive game. So we're going to be doing that before I share my presentation. So, all right, APIs. What do we understand or what do we think of? What's the first thing that comes to your head when you think of the word API? Do not give me full forms. I know you all know the full forms. I'm so sorry. What's the background noise? I think it might be my fan. Let me see if stopping that helps. All right, folks. Let me know if the background noise is gone. I hope this helps. I'm so sorry. Yes. Is it still there, folks? The background noise? I am so sorry about that. Let me see if I can fix that in another way. Uh, hmm. I honestly, this room is so quiet. I don't know where y'all are getting the noise from. So I'm a little confused. I do not have any audio cables. I'm using like the mic right here. Let me see if I can switch my audio device though. Uh, Fair enough. Let me see. Let me check. Thank you so much for the advice, folks. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna try and fix it. All right. Is it better now? Can you all tell me? No, it's not better. My bad, folks. I'm so sorry. I'll fix this. I'll try and fix this next time. Microphone back. All right, folks. Did it get better? Little bit better. All right, great. So, it's a very quiet room. I think it's definitely my device, and yeah, I'll definitely look into it. Thank you so much. Yes. Worst case, we'll edit the uploaded video. Okay. Awesome. So, back to our question. Back to our API. What's the first thing, not what's an API, what's the first thing that comes to your head when you think of the, phrase or the term API? All right, that's a great answer, Yash. The fact that, APIs make you think of Azure API and Flask APIs because you hear the word a lot. Fine, that's a great answer. That's another great answer. Front end and back end. Great. Another great answer. I'm missing out on the joke here. Please share, Alvin. Data. That's the great word. The first thing that comes to your head when you hear the word API is data. Awesome. Jason, great answers. Front end and a database. That is an interesting answer as well. Yash just came up with a new full form. Great job. I like it. Anything that helps you remember today's session. Fast API. That is a great answer. I missed your answer. I am so sorry, sister. Let me go back. I did not miss your answer. Front end to back end. I saw that. A great answer. API routes. Alright, this is some form of joke. Let me see if I can. I can't open it from here. I'll have to see it on the Twitch stream later, so I'll definitely look into it. Interesting answer. Data on the go. Great job. Another great answer. Great job, Haripriya. I love your answers. Postman API. Awesome. Oh my god. Before knows how much I hate Laravel. I am not good at it and I've tried it and I'm still trying to improve. But yeah, Laravel, I have nightmares. Uh, oh my god, this is such a great answer. I love. Awesome. Folks, do you want to come up with such quirky answers? This is what I love about y'all. Y'all can come up with such great answers. Absolutely, Susmita, I can help you. I'll talk to you after the stream. See, these are the answers I'm looking for. Awesome answer, Sarasdev. Requests. Great answer. Enable two software components. Awesome. Anything and everything. Nice. Yes, it can be called an interface, cool kid. Awesome. You all have such great answers. All right, folks. I'm gonna. Another great answer. Awesome. API is like calling your sibling to get water. Awesome job. I am so amazed with all the answers they've given. I'll try and make a compilation for Mary or whoever the next person's gonna do the daily streams for. I love your answers. If you all can tweet it or you all can put it on Discord, go ahead, put it on Discord, put your analogies, especially the amazing, the restaurant and the sibling analogies. Go ahead, put them in Discord. We'll definitely show them in the daily stream. But I love it. We already have a great, analogy forming here as a stream. So that's awesome. I like your own. You know what? Go ahead. Go ahead and put your answers in the squad. I love the answers you all have come up with. I am so impressed. And I love the number of people on the stream here. I have never had such a high number of people on the stream. I'm so proud of every one of y'all who's coming here on a Tuesday afternoon to learn something new. All right, I won't waste any more time. You all have a little bit of idea about what we're going to be learning today. You all have a little intuition formed about, what it might be, which is really important. I know I obsess over it a lot, but trust me, do it before any tutorial, before you watch any tutorial. Be very clear about what you already know, and it really helps you all to, really grasp the next concept. All right, so I'm going to start sharing my presentation. Yes, I made a presentation for today's stream. I haven't been doing it for a bit. Wrong. Stop sharing. Give me 1 second, folks. Let me find my presentation window. Right, I'm going to find my presentation at some point. There's my presentation. Folks, in case I forget to, this has been happening to me a lot. I share my screen, but I don't really, so it adds to StreamYard, but it doesn't really show. So, and I start talking about the stream anyway. So just give me a, warning when I start doing that. I love what you all have going on for API. Keep at it. Use your imagination. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kunal. Thank you, Yash. No, you're not late. You're right in time. Awesome. So just a quick, like a hack. If you ever come late to a stream and you want to watch the previous part of the stream that you've missed, you can always open YouTube and you can go back. Twitch does not let you go back when you're live, but Twitch has better, I have more Twitch open on chat. So that's why you want to keep Twitch on. We didn't make fun of APIs. We had fun with the word API. But cool. So we're going to be learning about APIs with web applications. So why am I using specifically with web applications when, right now when we discussed APIs, we're always talking about APIs being used in front end and back end and, basically web applications. Then why am I using it specifically for web? Well, we'll know. We'll know in a bit, right? But before that, let's just start with a little visualization, right? So what is an API? We know that it is an application. Oh, before that, I always forget to introduce myself, which is why I have the slides. I wish I could explain it in Marathi, but I do have a very close friend who could do that. So I'm going to ask them and get back to you tomorrow. I promise. Okay? Great. So, hi folks, I'm Rithvi. I've been a coach at MLH for a year and a half now, which is very surreal to me. I call myself a maker, as you all can see my background. Yes, my background's real. I've been asked this question a couple of times, which is super flattering. So, yes, I love making stuff. I just love, making crazy, quirky projects, and as you can tell, I love quirky answers. So I'll always encourage you all and appreciate when you all do it. Oh, thank you so much, Susmita. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Venkat. All right, folks. Enough about me. Let's move on to what's an API. So, what's an API? API is application program interface. Right. So there are three words in it. There's application, there's program, and there's interface. Right. So what we're basically saying is that when an application program, right, not the entire application, but a specific program of the application, we're making an interface. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So basically, it's an interface. But is it always supposed to be, web based or even for that matter, HTTP based? Let's have a look, right? So, Yash, are you asking me to repeat that? So, Yash, in case you're asking me to repeat it, what I said was when we say application program interface, we're only talking about the interface to an application program. We have never specified when we say an API, whether it's web based, whether it's using HTTP. There are a lot of assumptions from when we start using it, but we haven't really specified what it is. And you shouldn't make that assumption either. Yes, there are a lot of common use cases, but we do not know that. Right? So the reason I'm trying to say is API is a huge word, right? And we're only using a very tiny amount when we're doing it with web, right? But it's still very popular today, so you all aren't wrong, right? So it's application programming interface, basically an interface for your application program. We are not specifying what the protocols are, we're not specifying how it's being used, right? Which is why the next thing that we would want to know is what are the types of APIs, right? So this is a little visualization for you. I have it in two colors because I wasn't sure which one would work. So basically the same thing here. I think this looks clearer. Sure. You know what? I'm actually going to cover WebRTC in our next visualization thing. So if I forget, please remind me again. I love creativity, but can you all please keep your username simple for me? It takes a lot for me to read it. All right, so the green one is better. Great. But yes, I'm gonna Tossic. I'm gonna explain that tomorrow. All right. Great. So we have a backend system. We have an API management system. Then there is APIs connecting it, and then you have the actual, application, whether it's IoT devices, mobile apps, whatever, right? Okay, folks, let's not debate colors right now. All right, does that make sense, folks? This is a little visualization for you that I really like. So I thought you all should, get a chance to see it. All right, moving on. These are the different types of APIs that are there, right? You have mainly either used REST APIs or, it's very popular these days. So yes, REST APIs are super popular and we're going to be making and playing around with those. But that's not it, right? There's something called SOAP APIs, simple object protocol. I forget the A, what A stands for. Let's look it up. SOAP API. Simple object access Oh, absolutely, Yash. I'll give you an example of API in an OS or a native application. Just a second, right? But so, did this make sense though? So, SOAP is Simple Object Access Protocol, and oh no, so SOAP is supposed to be lighter on the entire thing, and it works with SMTP along with HTTP, right? So SOAP is one of. I actually wanted to see if I could find something that we could build on SOAP, but I haven't found anything, that can actually help you on the long run. But if you still want to do it, let me know. We can cover it tomorrow. Okay. Apart from that, there is RPC API. Right. RPC APIs are also like super, super light. There are two types, XML and JSON. So basically, what happens is they use like lighter bandwidth, send data, and get data back. Okay. Uh, Tamrakar, SOAP is a protocol. So Simple Object Access Protocol. Does that make sense? That is funny. Yeah, sure. And then we have WebSocket APIs. WebSocket APIs are more like, gateways where you're basically connecting over a single socket and then communicating, right? And then there are REST APIs, which we're going to be using, right? The representational state APIs, right? That is a great way to put it. A great question, actually. No, you use different protocols to access APIs, right? So API is an interface. What is that interface using? Is it using, so API will use a protocol to create or communicate over that interface. Does that make sense? Uh, Tosik? All right. I love the jokes. Keep them coming. All right. All right. So let's move forward because we're already half an hour up and I do want you all to do a lot of hands on stuff today. All right. Moving on. REST API versus Web API. All right. All web services are APIs, but not all APIs are web services. This is why your answer to your question, Yash. So modern web APIs are REST APIs and the terms are used interchangeably, but not all APIs are web services. So did you all know APIs have been around before the internet existed, before the www existed, before, APIs were basically what, helped bigger programs communicate with each other. And yeah, what is REST API? That is an amazing question, Pritendra. No, it's not this, Pritendra. REST API is basically, so REST stands for representational state, which is basically you using the HTTP requests to communicate. An API which uses the HTTP requests to send data to a server or get data from a server is called a REST API. Does that make sense, Pritendra? No, SDKs aren't APIs. That is a great answer, Harshdeep. So much. Thank you so much for coming up with that. Oh yeah, absolutely. See, the thing is, when you say REST API, right, you're making an HTTP request. So technically, you're exchanging data over an HTTP request. Usually, the data is a JSON or an XML. Mostly JSON when you're doing HTTP, right? So what happens is it becomes language independent. What you just need is a JSON parser, JSON writer, which you can very easily do, right? Sure, Zanila, I'm happy to repeat. So, REST stands for representational state, right? Which is basically a way for you to, for your different applications to communicate. So it uses the HTTP protocol, not protocol per se, but requests to communicate. An API that uses HTTP requests to communicate is a REST API. Does that make sense? Basically, yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Yash. I like the idea of keeping going with the analogy. Keep the analogies coming, folks. So web APIs use different protocols. Now, in web API could use a different type of API, which would be RPC, SOAP, but it's mostly uses REST API. Does that make sense? So a web API is basically an API web. So web consuming an API is the web API, and what type of API it's consuming depends on what you call it. It could be REST, it could be SOAP, but it's mostly REST API in today's world, which is why you can use it interchangeably. Does that make sense, Jitesh? Awesome. I'm glad you understood, Zenny. All right, awesome, folks. I love the discussions. Keep them going. Great. So let's move on to the next slide. We're almost through with the presentation. Then we'll start the hands-on. All right, webhook versus API. I really wanted to cover this because it is a very confusing thing, right? APIs communicate JSON. They don't communicate through JSON. Does that make sense? So it's communicating through your HTTP request. So that's the gate, the communication pipeline. What it's giving or getting is a JSON data. Does that make sense, Anil? Yes, and Yash is right. JSON is basically one of the data formats. It can be, it's up to you what you pass it, right? Awesome. That is a great question, Silky. I think I'm going to let the hackers explain it to me. What do you all understand by webhooks? That is a great point. Thank you so much, Tosik. It is true. When you're communicating with an API, you don't necessarily care about what's its internal implementation. You care about the data that you're getting back. So even when we're going to get the response, we're going to look at the result of the API that we're getting and not into the code of the API. Great point, Tosik. Thank you so much. That is a great point, Venkat. Thank you so much. Yes, hooks are used to connect web apps. But what's the difference between a webhook and an API? They're basically doing the same thing, right? I mean, if I'm connecting a webhook, let's say I'm using an IoT device, right? And every time my sensor, reads a specific value, I turn on the LED using a webhook, or, ask my, home device to play a song using a webhook. What's happening? I'm technically using an API, right? Why the difference? That is a good point, Kunal, but you're on the right track, Harsh. Perfect thought, direction of thought. Yes, those are two great points. Thank you, Kunal and Harsh. And yes, Yash, you're kind of right. It is one of them is a one-way communication, but I'll tell you what the difference is. It's a very small difference. Basically, webhooks are like your reverse APIs. You know how API gives you information when you send the link? A webhook is kind of like a reverse API, which on getting a certain data makes an HTTP request. Does that make sense, folks? So it's basically an API, but it's an entire coded API which is continuously running and listening for data and then making a request and sending the data when it gets the specific, trigger. Does that make sense, folks? So they're not the same thing for sure, right? They need to exist together. A webhook will only work if there is an API, right? And a webhook is more like a reverse API. It pings the server when the data is available rather than sending the data when requested. Does that make sense? So it's going to wait for the data to be available or for the data to change. When it does that, it makes a request and updates the data on the other side. Amazing. Thank you so much, Jedu. Exactly. Webhooks are reverse APIs. Yes, you can use a webhook then, but remember, webhooks are more used when you have devices you can't control a lot of code on. So if you see, webhooks are mostly used, in tiny automations or places you don't want to run tons of code on, right? So if it's a payment gateway, it would be more of an algorithm that you implement rather than a webhook. You would rather make an entire request and send the entire data than keep listening for data. So there's reverse API is known. It's not an actual technical term. What we're defining webhook as a reverse API. So so if you see the last line on the slide right now, it pings the server. A webhook pings the server when the data is available. An API ideally gives you data when you ping it, right? So we're defining webhook as a reverse API. That is a good analogy and a great comparison, but it is not a webhook particularly, more because there is no web involved, right? You're using the Java's functionality to do that. Oh, you want an example, Tosik? There are tons. Go to IFTTT or go to Zapier. They have tons of webhooks. You can see the kind of tasks that they do and you'll understand. If not, I'll show that to you in a minute. Yep, exactly. Precisely. Yes, that's exactly. I understood that you were trying to give an example, but just to be clear. Uh, I will show it to you tomorrow when we do visualization. Yes, you can consider it sort of a callback. Ping, when I say ping, it means making the HTTP request. So how does an HTTP request works? You send a URL, you go to a URL, and when you go to a URL, you usually use methods like get, put, update, request, or rather post, and based on that, you either get data or the data on the other end gets updated and you get a response. So pinging here means basically going to that URL. And that is another great point. Yes, you can basically consider that. It's doing both. So it's waiting for a data, or it's rather waiting for an event or a trigger to take place, and on that it updates or pings whatever action it's supposed to be doing next. So again, it's a trigger, right? The trigger can be anything. It can be you clicking a button. It can be you moving across a sensor. So it's basically waiting for the trigger to happen and then do the rest of its tasks. Basically, right? Does all of this make you know what? That's actually a great example for a webhook. Although again, it's not specifically web based. It is waiting for an action and it's doing certain things, but it's not specifically web based. But I like the connections that you are making. So great job. All right, folks. Does it make a little bit of sense, if not a lot of sense? Once we start implementing, it will make a lot of sense. It does both, right? So what it does is it waits for a data, certain data, for the trigger, and then makes an API call. Yes, that is actually a good community for you all to join, folks. All right. I'm gonna move on. I think this is my last slide, and we can move on to the hands-on part now if you all have no question. Right, so I've already explained this. What are we doing today? We're signing up for Rapid API. Then we'll use the API from Rapid API to, get data into our application. That is it. We'll just inspect our element, get some data. We'll leave it at that. Then we'll create a new project and we'll create a quick API which uses, web scraped API. More like we're going to be using Axios to get the data. And what we'll also do is we'll deploy it to Rapid API. All right, so that you all can monetize it whenever you all feel like it. All right, does that I honestly hope so, because if we do not, well, we do have two more sessions, but I still want to keep it. Great. First things first, let's go to Rapid API, right? So let me quickly share a new window with you all. That way. I'm sorry, is my voice coming out a little nasal? I feel like I'm not talking properly like I do. Anyway, feel free to keep the chatter in the chat going. I am going to keep rambling myself. Uh, absolutely, Amrit. This will be a event. It will be available on both Twitch and YouTube. It does take a few hours for it to get available on YouTube, so around 5-6 hours. But Twitch, the video gets deleted in 90 days. So, if you want to watch immediately, go to Twitch. If you want to watch it after a long time, YouTube's your thing. I'm so sorry you typed Rapid API. I am trying to ask you all to go to Rapid API. All right. Present, share screen, share window, and here we go. So this is Rapid API. Here we go. So we're gonna first use a nice game API to get data into our app. We're going to leave it at that. All right, we'll continue that a little later in one of the sessions. Then we'll actually create a new project. And thank you so much, Kunal. See, that's what happens. I have it on my StreamYard right here, but I haven't pulled it up on screen. StreamYard recently made this change, and yeah, I'm not used to it just yet. Thank you so much, Haribia. Thank you so much, Yash. Harsh, you can just look for my name with my last name, Mishra, and you'll find me. If not, I'll share it in the end of the stream. Okay? Alright, folks. Let's go to our Rapid API. Then, alright, this is what it looks like. I'm going to sign in. So I'm going to continue with Rithvi. It has my email ID and it's signed in. Alright, I'm going to refresh it very quickly to make sure I'm logged in. Alright, so you can see there are tons of APIs available here from gaming, jokes, even OpenAI, right? All of them are usually, all of these, have payment parameters. We'll be using something that does have a free tier. So I'm going to go right here and search for word quiz. This is the API that we'll use. This is where we're going to go. So you can see when you go to pricing of these, so if it says premium, that means you can sign up for the free tier, but you have to use some form of card details to get started, right? All right, I'm sorry about. Yes, Yes, OpenAI is available. You're right, Tausik. So what we're going to do next is basically go on to the endpoints, right? But if you go to pricing, right, on any of the APIs, you'll see that you'll have to sign up for a free version. So do that. You'll have to do that if you want to follow along. Uh, it, Let me share my screen again. Window. So what you need to do is you need to go to the Rapid API, search for word quiz. Twin Word API should be the person giving it. You will have to choose one of the pricing. So if I go to a new thing over here, you can see there's different pricing. So I'll have to subscribe to the $0 month with a 50,000 limit. Right, so 50,000 is a lot. You won't be using that much. So you click on subscribe, and when you subscribe to it, you'll have to add card details. And if you already have card details added, then you won't have to click on anything like you said. So I just subscribe to it. But this is what we'll be using, and you all can see this is a great vocabulary test for SAT and GRE and GMAT based tests. So you can actually create an application for yourself later to test yourself. All right. So you can see we have a nice playground that they've created for us, right? So we're going to go into example resources and we're going to see what our result looks like, right? We mentioned earlier as well that in an API, we care more about the result than the actual code implementation, right? So we'll study the result and accordingly use it in our application. Yes, my internet does teach me a lot of tricks. It literally pulls me out of the stream. But folks, we are good to go. So if you all are following along, let me know. All right. How about we connect an API, right? So, folks, if you all are doing this, take your time, no worries. You don't have to get the Rapid API subscription also right now, because the next two steps you won't need it, right? I mean, you won't be able to get the response, which is okay. Worst case, you all can use my API key, and don't uh, overuse it. But yeah, we'll figure a way out for you all to use it. Okay. On to the next step, folks. So we're going to now go to our VS codes. You all need a code editor. It does not have to be VS Code, whatever code editor you're comfortable with. So VS Code, you all will need Node installed. So if you all don't have Node installed, let me know. Install Node, and then we'll use create React app to create our app and quickly get data from an API. All right. Why would you do that, Yash? So, Zenil, when you click on subscribe, it will ideally ask you to put card details if you haven't ever put them before. So, when you go to pricing over here, like I've already subscribed to this, but if I go to a new API that I haven't subscribed, let's say I go to text analysis and I go to Google Translate, and let's say I go to the pricing. Over here, you can see I need to click on subscribe. And if I click on subscribe, I have my card details added. So it will subscribe immediately. If I don't have my card details, it will ask me to add my card details. It does, unfortunately. Basic thing, that's what we're doing. All right folks, so let's move on to our endpoints again. We'll first create a React app. All right, so open a VS Code. Let me open VS Code. Screen. It's okay, you all don't have to sign up right away. It's a small step. You can create the React app, you can do all the changes. It's the only endpoint that won't work for a bit, which is fine. Okay, share screen, window. There we go. So this is my VS Code. I'm going to open my terminal. Hi Ayush, welcome to the stream. Oh, sure, go ahead. If you can find an API that does not need a card, you can go ahead and use it. No worries. Go for it. Any API that does not need a card, go for it. All right, folks. So here's my terminal. I'm going to check my Node version. So I'm going to click Node V. This is what I've installed. Now I use NVM. All right, so I have multiple Node versions. I'm using 15 because that's a nice version, and a couple of MLH activities depend on it. So I'm using Node version 15. You can use whatever version you want. All right. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an npx. Okay, and okay, npx. Not install rather. So if you do not have create React app, you're going to have to do install. So my bad. npm install create React app. So I already have it installed. So it's very simple. But after this, what you want to do is create an npx. Create React app. And whatever you want to name it, right? So I'm going to do a live PSW API, right? There we go. Now it's going to create my create React app. Depends on what your website is doing, Amrit. I mean, if you want a tiny tabloid with like a tab with the weather, sure, you can use an external API. Oh, you want me to increase the size? Let me see. Let me do that. Okay, let me go to view. Alright, does this help? Oh, absolutely. I'll push everything on GitHub for you all after the stream. Alright, so now what it's doing is it's creating a React app for me. If y'all are following, let me know. I'm happy to wait for y'all. But trust me, this is a very simple thing what we're going to be doing. Okay? I'm glad you can see it better now. That's the name of my app. It can be anything. So this, folks, is the name of my app. You can name it whatever you want, right? This is the command npm library, and this is basically the script that is creating your application. All right. Does that make sense, Chetua? Alright, so again, I'm using an older version of Node, so I'm getting some warnings. You all won't get that if you all aren't using an older version. Alright, perfect. Now I'm going to CB into my app. So it's live PHW API, great. And I'm just going to do a DIR or even NS would work here, I guess. Let's see. Let's see if an LS works here. It does. So these are my folders that the Create React app is created for me. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an npm start. Alright, and I'm going to wait for it to start. And once it does start, I should be able to see it in my browser. So let me share my screen again. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to actually take my streaming tab here and share an entire screen with you all. So stop share. That's okay. Take your time. No rush. Screen, screen 2. So this is what it will look like. Right? So as soon as you open it, right? So I'm going to go into inspect. And I'll just keep inspect open here. So that's right. And we're going to console. Alright. I mean, I've selected this. There you go. Sure, go ahead. No worries. You totally can. I'll quickly show it to you. There we go. So these are the commands that we used. We used to create React app and npm install create React app. Alright, so this is what we used, npm install create React app. Then we use npx create React app. This is the command, and this is basically the name that you want to use. And then I'm using an older version, so I got a lot of warnings, but that's it. After that, what I've done is I have simply started the server. So okay. That command is not visible, but I basically did an npm start, if that makes sense. All right, awesome, folks. So once this is started, as soon as you click on npm start, or rather run npm start, this is what will be visible to you with everything running and everything, working. When you go to console, you'll be able to see this. This is just to give you an idea of what it looks like before you try to pull data. I typed create npm run start in the terminal. Wait, let me show that to you again. I'm happy to show that to you again. Yes, code. There we go. So you can see. Yes. npm start. That's it. And it will start the scripts. And there we go. Does that make sense, Zenil? Yes, even this command works, run start, or just start one over here will work. All right, awesome, folks. Yes, you do. So if you install Node, you will get NPM. Let me send you the link to installing hackme.ap/node.js. So this is the link that you want. There you go, folks. So you all can go to the link that I used, or you all can go to the link that I have sent in the chat. Awesome. So if you all have this running, let's go back to our project. I'm going to be making some changes here. All right. Actually, a lot of changes. So what I'm going to do is file, add folder. My name of the folder is live. And let's look at the Explorer, right? So I'm going to be deleting a lot of things that we won't be using. Okay. So the node modules remains as it is. We can leave public as it is as well. What I will be doing is I'll be selecting logo, report, setup, and app.css and just deleting it. Right? Delete. I'm also going to be deleting app test.css because I won't be writing any tests. And delete. Yay! I'm so glad so many of you all have your application running. Thank you so much, Harshdeep. Awesome, folks. I'm so glad so many of you all have it running. Great. So I have now removed some folders. Let me do a couple of CTRL Zs in case you all are following along and show that to you again. Right? So CTRL Z. Right. So there are so many things over here. I'm going to take up 1, 2, 3, 4 and app.css. These 5 things that I've highlighted, I'm going to delete them. What do you mean by you couldn't find the files related to it, Zenil? What files can't you find? Let me know what files you can't find and we'll help you out. I'm sure, maybe just running the entire thing again will help. Awesome, folks. Let's now go into our app.js and remove everything that we've deleted. So we can just remove all of this. Then I'm also going to remove all of this. But basically, if you see, this is where you can make the changes. So if you go here, and let's say, so let's say over here, I'm going to go and say, this is my GHW app, right? And if I save it, I'm going to remove all of the other stuff, right? So image, remove this, remove this, and save it and go back to my application. Okay, that's because I haven't removed everything. So if I go to my index.js, remove everything I don't want. Let's remove this. And let's remove this, right? All of it. Save. And you can see all the things that we've printed here have come on the screen. Oh, so you will have to add the folders in now. So what happens is you use the terminal, right? You haven't opened the folder. So now you'll have to go in file and add the folder. That's what I also did. So let me show it to you. Right? Also, you won't just have to add it. So over here, you can add folder to workspace. This will help you add it. Even in the terminal, right? Remember, you will by default be in your home directory. You want to cd into your application, right? So it's live. Over here, you'll be able to run all the npm commands here onwards. So let's say npm start. I mean, it won't start away, but you get the point. Right? So I'm sorry, use what? White. I'm not sure I know that myself. White.js. Interesting. I haven't really explored this myself, but I'm happy to do it if you all want to learn a little more about it. That is also true. I'm so sorry. I think the best way to go about it is to write to support of Facebook. But apart from that, not into cybersecurity at all. Sorry. But folks, if you all are here, you all should be able to see that I have gotten this back in my app, what I made the change, right? So with those changes done, right, we're going to go back to our Rapid API word quiz, right? And I'm going to go into code snippets. And over here, I'm going to go into JavaScript and select Axios, right? Now remember, I don't have Axios installed yet. So what I'm going to do next is, did you try to add the folder, Seril? The folder that you created? Does it? I'll definitely give it a shot. Thank you so much for recommending that. Alright folks, I'm going to copy code, but before I paste it into my VS Code file, what I'm going to do is I'm going to over here in my other terminal install Axios, right? So what does Axios do? Axios is basically a router, right? It kind of gets your data from the route that you're asking it, right? Alright, so I have it installed. Now what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go back to my app.js right here, right after the app, the bracket, before my return function basically. I'm going to quickly add it there. And here, CTRL paste. And over here, this is what I'm going to take it from here and paste it at the top. Alright, this is it. This is my code. Remember, the over here our data is being put into the console log, right? So I'm going to save this, go back to my React app, do an inspect, go to my console, and you can see I'm already getting back everything from the API, right? Now we'll compare it to the example responses. Yes, we are getting the response we want. Absolutely. I love the recommendation. I'll definitely look into it. Zenny, did you find it? The folder and the files. So if you all have reached the point to this, congratulations. Now you know how to get the data into your React app. Let's quickly just go over the code that we just copied, right? So let's go back to our VS Code. Let's look at the that you're declaring. All right. We're going to stick with the default. All right. So constant options. Then we're using the method get, right? This is our URL that we want to go to. These are the parameters. Remember, in our API, we have different parameters that we're getting returned, right? So we're basically trying to manipulate that. Does this make sense, everyone? How did I install Axios? Let me show that to you very quickly. I just went into my terminal right here, right? npm install Axios. Make sense? I'll paste it for you. Oh, thank you. There you go, folks. You can run this command, or npm I Axios also works. I is basically short for install. I am so sorry about that, Harsh. It's okay. Take your time. Whenever you need help, just let me know. I'll show you the step again. Absolutely. So you need to first run. I'm just gonna put all the commands for you, right? Starting with installing Create React app. So uh, don't worry, folks. I'll be pushing everything to GitHub as well, so you all can later follow it there too. Alright, then we have npx create React app. app name, then we have npm start, and then we have npm install Axios. Oh, did it work for Zaniel? Oh. Did you find the folder? Okay, once you've gotten Axios, Zenil, what you need to do is you want to go back to your Rapid API documentation right here in the playground. Okay, over there, go in code snippets. Over there, select JavaScript Axios and copy the entire code, right here. All right, then go back to your VS Code, right, in your app.js after the curly bracket, right? This is your entire before the return function basically. Just paste it and the import function, cut it and paste it on the top because your imports happen at the top. Awesome, I'm so proud of you, Daniel. That is awesome. So once you do this, hit save, all right? And that is it. Awesome. If you all want me to repeat any step, let me know. But if you all are here, congratulations. You've pulled data into your React app. Whenever you all are ready, let me know. I am happy to take you through the next steps. Let me know when you all are done and we can continue. Right, before that, until then, you all can look at the code that we're using here, right? We have declared options over here. In that, we're using the method get to get our response, and we're using the headers, the API key, right? We're using the parameters that we want. Eventually, when you're making the game, what you can do is you can also use mapping to, specify the level and the area you want to get the words back. All right. Then you're doing an Axios request, right? And from the options, basically, these are the parameters that you've stated in the options, right? You're passing it in the function response, right? And then you're logging in the response that you're getting, right? And if you do not get the response you want, you're basically catching an error, right? Awesome. I'm so glad so many have completed it till here. I know it takes a while. So this might be because you're not subscribed to the API. Can you check in that response, are you getting not subscribed to the API? Yes, copy that code. So basically, you can even write it yourself. It's not that difficult. You're basically making a variable, specifying the method in there, and then you're using Axios to ping that URL. Basically, make that API request and save the response into the uh, basically the variable that you created, which is response, and then your console logging the response data. Are you also getting not subscribed to the API? Oh yeah, so just delete whatever. So over here, if you see in my app.js, I have no other, I have only one import, right? And apart from that, I only have my function app, right? In my index.js also, I've removed everything except for the necessary parts. So I have app, index, CSS, React, React DOM, that's it. Everything else I've removed. Sure, Zenny. So if you go to app.js, this is your import statement. Yes, install Axios. If you all want, what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this and I'm going to do it over again in case anyone's still following along. Right, I'm going to create okay. I'm going to remove this from the workspace. Let's go here. I'm going to do a npx create react app. Let's call it demo 2. I'm sure it'll install soon, Yash. But basically, let's call it demo 2. Dem 2. Well, you'll get the point. So, demo 2 is going to install everything. I'm going to close all the files open in my VS Code. Alright. Absolutely. Are you sure? You're always welcome to access the slide. Oh, no, you don't need to create another React app. I'm just doing it for anyone who wants to see all the steps again. So I'll just be doing all the steps again. All right. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm going to be following all the steps in case you all missed out on anything. You all can just check all your steps. Okay. So what I've done is I've created a React app. Now I'm going to CD into that React app. All right. Uh, CD to ls. These are my projects. I'm going to go into file. I'm going to add folder to workspace. Go back. Name 2. There we go. Add. Over here, I'll right now run npm install Axios. There we go. And in my folder, I only have to open the source folder. I'm going to select app CSS, app test, logo, and I'm going to go ahead and hit delete. Move to recycle bin, go to index.js, remove anything that's using a report or testing, right? Remove this as well. And hit save. Go to app.js, remove all the imports, hit save again, select header to header, and hit delete again. This is simple what remains in my application. I'm going to go to my Rapid API now, and I'm going to click on code snippets, JavaScript, Axios, there we go. Copy code, copied. Then I'm going to go back to my VS Code. Before the return, but after the function starts, I'm going to go ahead and hit paste. And from the import statement, I'm just going to cut it from here and paste it right at the top, right? And hit save. There we go. And then I'm just going to simply hit npm start. And it will automatically open the development server. And it's a blank app. I'm going to go into inspect. In my console, I should be able to see my entire array that I've requested. Make sense, folks? Give me 1 second, folks. I lost you all. I can't find my stream tab. The amount of time this happens to me. Found you all. Awesome. You all are using that. Nice. Yeah, feel free to use whatever API. you all want that does not require a credit card. The reason I wanted you all to use this is because we can develop it further in the further streams, but we'll use whatever API you all are comfortable using. So what we're doing, Tsunami, is we're using JavaScript, and it's okay. Everyone here is a beginner. You can just jump in and keep pestering me with questions, and you'll understand by that. Hmm. Yes, very funny. I know. I like how Yash is in a great mood today. Like he's cracking jokes all along. You used my API key. Please do not spam it. I honestly request you, please do not spam it. But it's okay. You all are welcome to use my API key till the time you all don't, spam it and make me pay a lot of money. Awesome! Great! So you all have connected your API to your web applications. Perfect. Next, what we're going to do is now we're going to learn how to write our own API. Alright? And based on that, what we'll do, we will eventually deploy it to Rapid API. Alright? Now I understand we are a little short in time. We have 30 minutes left. So I'm going to give you all exactly 5 minutes as a break to catch up in case you all are left somewhere or you all want me to repeat a script. I know, right? That is an interesting sentence. Your usernames make me say such interesting sentences. But all right, folks, let's take a 5 minute breather and then we'll start with a new workflow. You all can save this project and close it. We won't be reusing it today. All right, so I'll do just that. All right, so close, go to my VS Code, close everything that's running. Don't save, don't save, and open a new VS Code and just keep it open. All right, create a new window and keep it open. Right, that's it. And I will leave you all here for the next 5 minutes. If you all have questions, keep them coming. And we shall next create our own API. And you know what we'll use to create that? We'll do a little bit of web scraping using, again, Axios. And we'll use the GHW website to do that. All right? You all want to go ahead, be fancy, install Tailwind and make a nice front end, go for it. All right, folks. I hope you all have registered and checked in for this event because you do get brownie points for it. So yeah. All right, 5 minute breather, folks. It's 2:53 in my clock. I'll be back 2:58 if you all have any questions, and I hope the sound is better. It's not too much. Yeah, we'll be back. How are you all finding this though? Was this easy? I wanted you all to start off like very easy. Tomorrow we'll look into mapping functions and how to use the data from the API into your actual application. Like for example, if you have dad jokes, we can create cards and we can have an interaction going on with the entire thing. That's okay, which is why we have the breather. Don't worry, you can always come back to the video and yeah, you don't have to make any file right now. I'll tell you what to do next. So wait for it. Awesome. How did you solve the problem? Take your time, Venkat. Whenever you're at the next stage and you're confused, just stop me and I'll just take you over the next step. Sure, you can either do that or if you want, just ask me and I'm happy to repeat it for you. Okay? Awesome, folks. Another couple of minutes. If y'all want a little more time, let me know. Next thing, again, we're doing very simple stuff. Y'all can follow along very easily. There's not a lot of technical stuff. Well, we're not discussing a lot of technical stuff, honestly, but that's okay. Once we have the entire thing working and you all are comfortable with the terminology and the tech stack, we'll discuss a little more. Correct, Milov Gupta. Milov Gupta. How am I supposed to pronounce that? Where do you see my desktop image? So this is the default image that came with the computer. I'm planning to change it. I hopefully will change it at some point, but I'm really bad at personalization. So, alright, folks. Yep, that's the default screen. In it came, yep, a source it is. That too, wow, you all really know your computers, huh? I know I'm sharing my screen. I just didn't realize when you all saw the desktop. Yep, it's the default image. I am planning to change it at some point. Let's see how that goes. So we'll be making a couple of them. What we'll basically do is now after we deploy the API, you all can of course, do whatever you want with it. But more than that, the actual project that we're creating tomorrow, we'll do a very simple project where we'll visualize stuff after getting it from the API. So we'll, create some nice fancy graphics and fill them up with the data from the API. And third day, IoT, it's going to be a simple, what we did with Firebase basically. We'll see what are the APIs we can use. I'll let you all use the virtual devices in Wokely. I think that works pretty great for everyone. And the last stream on Monday, I'll go back to Touch Designer and processing. So we'll create some fun graphics and fun stuff using APIs and just play around with processing learning. After pasting the code, make sure your import is at the top. Let me show you. Oh, I can't show you because I closed it. Let me open it again for you. So basically, where is Vim? Open folder. So in your app.js, make sure that the import is at the top, and in the rest of the code that you've copied is after the curly bracket and before the return function. That's it. And keep running it. And once you're done running it, go here, go to your React app. And I mean, it's failing now because it's not running anymore. But you should ideally get back the API result that we saw in the playground. You didn't like Touch Designers, Anil? I'm so sorry to hear that. I am not taking any mini events this time. It could be, yes. So if you all haven't subscribed, then if you get an error, then yes, it will be because the response isn't correct. I thought you all enjoyed Touch Designer last time. I honestly thought you all enjoyed Touch Designer. If not, we'll just stick to processing if you all don't like Touch Designer. That's perfectly fine. I'm just really obsessed with Touch Designer. Alright, folks, let's get started. Is anyone still following along? Can we get started with the next thing? I'm glad you think so, Zaniel. But cool. Great. Let's go to our. I'm gonna open a new window again. So, new window. Close. All right. I have a new window. I'm gonna create a new folder here. So, terminal. All right. I'm gonna do an mkdir. Okay, I'm gonna do an mkdir API create is going to be my folder name. So mkdir is make directory and go. Then I'm going to do a cd API create. I don't know whether I should be offended by that or not. So I'm just going to, hold off my reaction on that. Yes, the code that is being showed does get updated with the key. You don't have to change it. All right, so I am in a new folder now, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do an npm init. All right, so you already have your installations done. So I'm going to go ahead, click, and my keyboard's being weird. So let's give it a second. There we go. npm init. All right, so now it's asking me to create, it's asking me a few questions. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, package name, that is what I want. API create, version 1 is fine. Description, I'm going to leave it blank. And my keyboard's being weird. Okay, description, I'm going to leave it blank. Entry point, I do want it to be index.js. I do not have a test command right now. I do not have a repo. I can put my name as the author, right? And then enter. I do not want a license. And this is all okay. I'll create yes. And there we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, file. Again, same thing, add folder to the workspace. It is called API create. So it should be right here. There we go. And add. And over here, you can see it has created a package.json for me, right? And this is exactly what I want. It has basically added all the things that I want right here, right? Over here, I'm going to be making some changes, but we'll make the changes as we go. I just want to know if y'all are with me. I want a real pizza. And okay, you're also giving me a pizza with a pineapple. I am creating a JSON technically, but I'm using the npm init command to do that. All right, folks, I'm going to wait for you all to catch up here. So you need to do the npm init command inside your folder, inside the folder that you created. So I created API create right here, right? Then I went inside the folder, then I ran an npm init. Awesome, I'm so glad to know you're following along. Sure, Haripriya, where do you want me to scroll up? Let me just make this quick for you. Does this help? When you did it work, let me know if it still doesn't. Oh yeah, this is a normal folder. I've created a new folder, nothing else, and I've run the npm init command. Oh, the API information part, there you go. So the package name, you just press enter. Here's what I do. I just create a new file for you. Alright. So you all can see it. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna do mkdir tem2 API cp tem2 API. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do an npm init. Alright folks, if you all are following along, just look at it. So package name, it shows the default in the bracket. I'm just pressing enter, right? Version 1 is fine. Description I don't want to give. Entry point, the default is again okay. The index.js test command, I will change it later. Git repo, none. Keywords, none. Author, I'm just being, I'm going to put it just for the sake of it. And no license. Is this okay? Yes, we're good. Make sense? If you all want me to repeat it, let me know. Exactly. Basically, it creates some basic default files as well, which helps you if you're creating a single page app. But did the API process help, Venkat? No, you do not have to run npm create app, React app. You want to run npm init. This is the command that you want to run. Awesome. Harsh is done. Let's wait for others to catch up. Haripriya is done. That's amazing. Venkat, I hope you caught up. Awesome. Harsh Singh is done as well. Awesome. AD Twitch account. Artist Twitch account. All right. Exactly. I'm sorry, I missed the question if this was. Yes, we're just basically creating a JSON right now. Awesome. So many of you all are done. That is amazing. Let's move on to making some changes, right? So first of all, right here, I'm going to make the change of in the scripts, in the test, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to no-daemon index.js because that's what I want it to run. Okay, and I'm going to change this test to start, right? So start. So the script's name will be start and over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this. I'm going to do no-daemon index.js. Does that make sense, everyone? All right, that's it. Save. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into my terminal and I'm going to do the very obvious step, which is installing no-daemon. If I'm using it, I need to install it. So npm. So node daemon is basically what helps you run scripts. So in the script, it will start your script from that entry point that you're specifying. So uh, I node daemon. There you go. So it's basically that's where the server will start from. Okay. Awesome. So NPI node daemon is done. Perfect. Let's go here and create a new file called index.js because that's our entry point. Now we just need to start writing it, right? Alright, so we'll be using a couple of things for this, right? So we'll be using first Axios, as we already know. Exactly. It basically starts going to your entry point again and again. Thank you so much, Kunal. Awesome. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do npm install Axios. All right. Next, what we'll be using is we'll be using something called Cheerio. So what we're going to do is we're going to scrape the a website, right, a web page. So we're going to use Cheerio to kind of detect the different HTML tags, and then use it to save the response into our response variable. All right. So npm install Cheerio. Now, this has been an error for me where if you go into package.json and you have to, it's not updating. Oh, that's because I'm in the wrong folder. Add folder to the space. Um, there we go. I'm gonna remove this. Alright. So over here, if you look at package.json, for some reason, Cheerio gives a star. Now that is something that won't work for us. So I'm gonna paste the version that you want to paste in your Cheerio folder, and then what we'll do is we'll run an npm install. All right. So this is what you want. Okay. So I'm gonna go here, hit save, and then right here run npm install. Okay. So Cheerio basically what it does is in a web page when you're scraping it, it identifies the different HTML structure and you can use it to reference a different structure within the HTML. Oh, perfect. If that's what you're getting, that's great. I think that's an error in my machine then. This is the version that I'm using. I'm going to paste it in the chat for y'all. If y'all are getting anything close to that, that's good enough. If you're getting a star, make sure you replace it because that's been a issue for me when I was running it, right? All right, perfect. So we have our 3 packages installed, okay? And we'll keep installing stuff as we go, as we need. All right? Is everyone on the same page? The last thing we're going to install before we move on to our code is Express. Can anyone tell me what Express does? Express is basically a router, right? Right, so awesome. Once you're done installing all the packages, let me know. All right, folks, let's start writing our code now. Can you all see my screen? Yes, but what's its job? What does Express do? Alright, folks, while you'll answer that, let's start with our code. Alright, so what we're going to do is now we're going to go to index.js and we're going to first define the port. Alright, so let's start with const port, and let's wait for my keyboard. Exactly. It helps in creating routes for your Node app. Oh, you already know a lot about APIs, huh? But basically, yeah, Express is usually used when you are trying to write an API in the JavaScript end. Awesome. So we're gonna start over here. We're gonna define const port. And over here, we're going to define it as 8,000, and it can be anything that you all want. When I say anything, there are a number of ports available. You all can use any of those, right? Next, we're going to import all the packages that we've downloaded, right? So let's start with const and oh my god, my keyboard. Express is equal to require, and then we have sure, go ahead, use a semicolon. I like how if you want to use semicolon, you all can use semicolon. Alright. Axios is equal to require const. What else did we import? Cheerio is equal to require why do you want to use ES6 syntax for importing packages? We did install it, but you can still install it. There's no problem. At any given point, it's going to throw you, uh, an error that, you don't have this package. You can just go back and install the package. You're good over here. For importing, we're not using Node.js, right? So you're fine with the syntax we're using. But if you want to do your own thing, whatever you're comfortable with, the basic thing remains the same. Sure, go for it. I am happy to follow you all once you all are done. Alright, next I'm going to define my app to be a Express app. I added it. I added the index.js right here. But I'm so glad you mentioned it because I haven't added it here. This is from my previous folder. Sure, Kaustubh. We first learn how to get API into our React app on the backend, and now what we're trying to do is we're trying to write our own API. So Cheerio basically what it does it tries to kind of makes all your HTML, if you pass HTML, it makes it into variables and it can reference within HTML. Does that make sense? Bye, Yash. I'll see you in the next stream. Did I answer your question? What Cheerio is? So I'm gonna go here, right here. Awesome. Let's move on, folks. And if I can only get my keyboard to work, and there we go. Index.js. Right, this is the file where I really want everything. So I'm just gonna pick everything up from here to a ctrl-x, go here, ctrl-v, and this can just be a zip, save, and I'm gonna just remove this. There we go. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create my app to be an Express app. So I'm gonna do a const. At some point, this will work. Const app, where I want is equal to Express. Alright, there we go. And we're gonna make a function, and that's it. I'm a C coder, so semicolon is something that even I'm very used to. It is 3:30 p.m. It's gonna be 3:30 p.m. at my end. At Jamilton Jr. Alright, folks, I'm gonna let you all stop here in the next. I'm gonna give you all a couple of more things to do right now, and then we'll stop and we'll continue tomorrow morning. Okay? That is it. I've only imported for the time being. Now, what we'll do is we will try and get Axios to give us our routes, right? So let's look at how Axios first works, right? So I'm going to go do an app.get, right? And I'm going to start with a random route, and we'll see how it works, and then we'll continue, right? So let's say I do just a slash. So, right, what I want here is basically a response to a request. So I'm going to go ahead, add that request response. This is basically me telling what is going to come, and then I'm going to define what's actually going to come here. So over here, I start a curly bracket, and I'm going to now tell them the data that I want to respond with. So my response dot JSON. Now remember, these are the variables that I've created. So my REQ will hold all my requests, and the RES will hold all the responses. All right. So at some point my keyboard will work. All right. So RES dot JSON, and over here I can do anything. So I'll be welcome. Let's make it right. Let's save this and let's run it. Right. So for running it, we'll have to add another command on our web page. The next stream is tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. IST, folks. All right. Over here, I'm going to do an app.listen. So app.listen. Right. What do we want it to listen to? We want to listen to. We want it to listen on the port, right? So port and when it does listen, we want it to console.log. It was being very weird. I'm having to use the other keyboard. Give me 1 second, folks. So, and there we go. All right. So perfect. This is good to go. I've saved it, and now over here, I'm just going to do an npm start. All right. So npm. My bad. It'll do me an npm. Oh, is that because I made the changes in the wrong? My bad. But because I had the files of the other folder open, so I can wait for. No, come on. Not. Yes. Save. Awesome. So this is wrong. This is not what it should be showing. It should be showing the variable that we put. I can fix this. What have I done wrong? Where do you want me to put a backtick, Rahul? Oh, sorry, Jedua. No, it's not a backtick. It's a normal folder only that I've used. Let's see. See, there's something wrong with this specifically. Hmm. Where do you want me to put a backtick in the port over here? Okay. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No, I don't know. I this ran for me in the morning, which is I'm very confused. Oh, I get it. I see what you all meant. What's this? Thank you so much, folks. I totally got that wrong. Awesome. Thank you so much for everyone who helped. All right, let's go to our web page now. So let's go here and let's go to localhost. But we want to go to 8,000 here. There we go. And you can see that because there is no path here, we're going to our main thing, right? All right, so you all are already such pros at this. Awesome, folks. Great. So this is basically us routing. Tomorrow morning, what we'll do is we will try and now get a URL and then we'll pass the URL into our Cheerio and we'll use it to create a nice JSON view and an API that we can deploy to Rapid API. Does that make sense, folks? And I will stop sharing screen. We do have a stream right after this, so stay tuned. And yeah, if there are any questions, feel free to reach out. I will push all the things on GitHub and share it with you tomorrow morning when we start the stream. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Thank you so much, everyone, for helping me in the end. It's at 9:30 a.m. IST. Both on YouTube and Twitch. On Twitch, this will be available right after the stream ends. On YouTube, it will take a couple of hours for it to be available. All right, folks, thank you so much for joining in. I am getting my hands dirty with JavaScript after a long time, and this has been super fun for me. And yeah, we'll do some fancy, visualization with the API data that we pull tomorrow. And yeah, let's see how it goes. All right, folks, we shall see you tomorrow. Bye bye.